Okay, part 2 of the oil pan gasket and subframe replacement video, as the title says. Sorry for the ending of the last video, it was a bit abrupt. I really wanted to get the video out, and I was sitting on days of footage, so yeah, I just wanted to get it out there. For this part of the video, I will clean all the mating surface of the bottom end of the engine, and try to get it as clean as possible with my scraper, and then I will reinstall the pan and with a new gasket. I got a new L-ring gasket. I think it's the OE, the original manufacturer of the gasket for BMW if you buy it at the dealership, but I'm not sure of that because it's I think it is because it's a cork gasket, and all the others I see online are like plastic or metal, I don't know. Anyway, so let's start by cleaning this up first, and then we can discuss the gasket later and install it. Okay, removing the gasket material should not be that complex, but I just have to be careful because I don't want to damage the mating surface. That's the most important area of of the sealing. Wow, it's really stuck on there. Oh, it's like glued in place. Yes. Okay, so that's all the gasket material removed. I'm ready now to do a final wipe down with some brake cleaner on a rag, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. This is what's left of the old gasket, by the way, so really brittle and crusty. Okay, so I think that's pretty much as clean as it's going to be. So yeah, quite satisfied with how it turned out. Not too bad of a job. You don't have to scrape all that much. There is some elbow grease involved, but it's not too bad. Yeah, and I have to say, I really am amazed at how clean this engine is. You really have to appreciate how great this looks. I mean, some newer cars don't look as good as this. So yeah, it's really impressive how clean it is. Okay, so time to reinstall the pan with the new gasket. Alright, so this is the gasket I'll be using. It's an L-ring cork gasket. I think exactly like it was from the factory. I got this one from Rock Auto, really inexpensive. I heard that they are really delicate and fragile though, so I'll be careful not to damage it. Oh yeah, it seems really thin. Yeah, there are extra holes here, and here. So I'm not sure what these holes are for, but anyway, shouldn't harm anything. I'll use some zip ties to hold the gasket in place. I saw that trick from M539 restorations, and it's a really good trick just to hold the gasket in place. Okay, that's the gasket in place. It's held pretty well with these zip ties. It's a really good trick because it can move easily. There's a bit of a wave here at the back, but yeah, it should just flatten when I push the oil pan. So yeah, now I'll just install the drain bolt. Okay, so I made myself a little rig to push the oil pan in place because what I learned from the subframe debacle is that you really have to be in control of your work and of the parts that you wish to install or uninstall from the car. And some of them are heavy or weirdly angled, like this oil pan. It will be secure, and you know, I can move it around, and it doesn't fall, and it's well balanced, and I can raise it up and down. So yeah, a bit of a strange setup, but yeah, it will allow me to be more in control. So yeah, I want to slide this under there, and I really need to be careful of any obstacles. You know, this large hose there, the oil pump, and maybe some brackets. Yeah, I want to be mindful of that, but yeah, it should go smoothly. I pulled this hose with a bungee cord just to get it out of the way. So now I got a clear path to roll in the oil pan. Yeah, so I'm in a difficult spot. I could not get the oil pan to get over the this sort of a cradle cross member thing over there. So I think I'll just remove it because I don't want to scratch the mating surface of my oil pan any more than it is. And of course I don't want to rip my gasket either. We got a suspension arm here connected to it, but there's a bushing there, so it should just pivot, and I should be able to drop it down by pushing on it. I'm sure it's going to be really rusted, but yeah, I really want to do it right, and I don't want to damage the oil pan, so I'll just drop it. Okay, it's a 19mm bolt. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, pretty rusty, just like all the other bolts. Driver's side now. Okay, I tightened this bolt back because I did not want this bracket to bend under all the pressure. So yeah, these are 15mm, should be easy to remove. Okay, now for the actual cradle bolts. Oh yeah, it's moving. Nice. Okay, the cradle should come down now. Okay, so there's plenty of rotation in the suspension arm for it to drop down. Now I have all the room in the world to move in the oil pan. So yeah, just a few fasteners, and it gives much better access. So I think it's worth it. Okay, I think I need to lower the pan again, and this time I need to get the far left corner under the this transmission, this ATF line. Okay, so I think I have no choice but to remove this bracket because the ATF line at the back and this bracket are mutually exclusive. Either I can clear one or the other. I can't clear both with the oil pan. So yeah, I'll just jack the compressor a bit. Just try to get some pressure out of off the bolt, like this. Okay, I can turn the bolt now, at least. Okay, there goes the bracket. Can put back the bolt, the AC compressor. Nice. Okay, nice. I got all the clearance I need now. Okay, I think I can just clear the harmonic balancer here. And the rest should be okay, I think. Okay, I'll go check on the other side. Okay, so it seems to be aligned properly. I just need to tweak it slightly to get the holes aligned, and it should be good to go. Okay, I think I can remove the zip ties now. I guess the gasket won't move all that much. Alright. So as I was placing the pan and trying to add another bolt, my gasket got misaligned and actually went inside the oil pan. How come no one shows this in their repair videos? It's just hey, remove oil pan, place gasket, and installation is reverse of removal. Not really. It's yeah, it's more work than that, and you get these annoying problems that no one shows. Yeah. So how's your evening going? Mine is going fantastic. Look at that sweet gasket. Someone over on BMW Forums, someone very helpful, recommended that I use RTV on the joint of the block and the timing cover. The cork gasket might not be enough there, so just a bit of silicone helps. So I used this RTV, which is just a Loctite high temp copper RTV. Worked okay for my lawn tractor. I had to seal the valve covers, and so I used a bit of RTV, see at the front there, and also on the other side. You can see it just barely there, and I also added a bit just in case at the back, so over here and on the other side as well, just in case. So that should prevent any leaks. And also online, I saw the Car Wizard recommend using Crazy Glue, or Gorilla Glue in my case, to hold the gasket in place. And I wish I thought of that earlier, because it makes life so much easier. Just look how stable it is. It's not going anywhere. I just used just a bit, not much, like in 4 or 5 areas, and yeah, it's held in place. So yeah, now it should be much easier and less frustrating to install the gasket this way. So yeah, I wish I knew that earlier, but you know, it is a learning process. So yeah, I learn as I go. Okay, all the bolts are in, and I also installed the 2 brackets here for the self-leveling suspension hose, and yeah, I just need to torque down the bolts. I use my wire wheel to clean all the bolts of the oil pan. That cleaned up all the rust. I did lose I think it's zinc that is coated on these bolts originally, but it's okay. I'll use some rust proofing spray when I'm done, just so they don't corrode. But yeah, much cleaner now, and I'll use some blue Loctite as well when reinstalling these bolts. Okay, these E32 bolts were the last bolts to reinstall, and yeah, everything is torqued to spec, 10 Newton meters, and marked with a pen just to keep track. So now I just need to reinstall the brackets, hoses, and things like that. I won't be showing everything because it gets redundant after a while, because it's just the opposite of what I did before. Yeah, so next step will be to reinstall the cross member, this thing over here, and then after that I can think about reinstalling the subframe. Okay, so this bolt is a 19 millimeter. There's a nut also on the back there. I already removed the nut. Alright. So there's a spacer here. Small spacer. Okay. Alright. Okay, so here's the steering box of the E32. Quite a heavy unit. Yeah, and I still got the pitman arm on it, so I'll need to remove it and replace it with a brand new one I have from BMW. There's a spacer here under the pitman arm, and it's just a plastic spacer. I think I can just pinch it and remove it. Oh yeah, you can feel how light the subframe is without the steering box. So it's the box that makes it heavy. Like this. So that's the spacer that goes under the pitman arm. I bought a new one just in case this one was damaged, but it looks okay. It's still pliable and yeah, not broken at all. Okay, removing the pitman arm requires a 17 millimeter ratchet and wrench. Yeah, much easier. Oh wow, that was easy. Huh. So while I have the steering box out, I thought, you know, I might as well clean it. So I gave it a pretty decent cleanup. Yeah, so it's looking pretty good now. Not perfect by any means, but better than it was for sure. It was coated in oil before. So yeah. Yeah, so now I'll just reinstall the pitman arm, and I think it should be good to go. I tried to clean all the splines there and there as well. Yeah, I got here a brand new BMW pitman arm. Not cheap, but might as well go all the way while I'm in there. So yeah, I think I'll grab some anti-seize compound and just apply some here. Okay, I'm just going to use a bit, nothing excessive. I just don't want it to rust in the future. If I need to remove it, or the next owner, you never know. Alright, that's good enough. Okay, so this is towards the rear of the car. Well, this is the bottom, so the pitman arm would go like this, and it would drop down. Yeah, that's right. Okay. And the bolt goes through here, so I have to align it right around there, I think. Well, that's nice and smooth. Alright, so I'll just put some anti-seize all over. Okay. I'll clean it up afterwards. Okay, I got a new pinch bolt. Okay, BMW again. So this is the pinch bolt. Okay, I'm going to use a bit of anti-seize there as well. Okay, just to be on the safe side. Like this. And the nut. Actually, the bolt goes the other way. It's the nut that goes here. So, like this. Alright, so I'm not going to tighten it all the way because I want to slide the pitman arm a bit when I have it installed on the car. So I'll just tighten it slightly. 17 millimeter again. Okay, so I can give it a bit of slack later to adjust it, but so far It's good to go. Just need to clean it a bit. Like so. Alright. So it looks like my box is all ready to go, and I can reinstall it in the car later when I'm done preparing the subframe. It's looking pretty good. Good news, I got the subframe back from the paint shop and it's looking quite nice, I have to say. I asked them not to make it too shiny, but not matte either, so they got the finish pretty well. It's not like the factory finish, you know, as you can see the factory finish is a bit shinier, but it's very close. So I'm really happy with that, and they fixed all the rust. So there used to be rust all over here, and now it's all nice. And on the other side, yeah, all the attachment points are all looking good. So yeah, really happy with that result. So now I guess I'll just have to reattach everything, the steering box, the engine mounts, and all of that. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Here I got a pair of OE engine mounts. They are from Corteco. This is the part number if you are interested. And so this is the original equipment for BMW, and you can only tell by this small logo here. Yeah, it doesn't say BMW on them, but they are OE. And they will be replacing my Rhine motor mounts here. I still got vibrations with these mounts. It might be something else, but I thought, you know, if I'm redoing the subframe, might as well go for the OE engine mounts. They're not that expensive. The engine mounts are quite simple to install. There's a big stud here and a key. So you put the stud here, and the key will just snap in place. And then if I rotate it, so you use a this nut with an integrated washer, and you just tighten it. Okay, and the torque is 34 foot-pounds for this 17mm nut. Okay. Okay, now for the steering box. So I'm reusing this riser thing that goes here because it was still good. Just cleaned it up. There you go. Just snaps in place. Okay, and here is the heavy box. I think it goes here like this. Okay. And the pitman arm should go into the small spacer area. Okay, I think that's how it goes, and there's a spacer here that I cleaned up that goes here. Okay. Now for the vertical bolt, I think it went like this. Okay, and the horizontal bolt went over here. Alright. So the smaller vertical bolt is a M10 bolt. It's a 17mm head and has a 17mm nut as well. And the torque is not that much. It's 32 foot-pounds. I should be using new locking nuts, but I don't have any at the moment, so I will just reuse the ones that I have. Okay, 32 foot-pounds. Alright. The larger horizontal bolt is an M12 bolt. It has a 19mm nut and head, and it requires 63 foot-pounds of torque, so quite a bit more torque on this fastener. was tight. Okay, so the last two items, as my steering box is dripping oil all over the place, so I'll do this quickly. This cap goes over here. I'm not sure what it's for, but yeah, it was there when I removed the subframe. Okay, and this clip goes over here, and it's to secure the heat shield, I believe. Okay, so the subframe is all ready to go. Really happy how it turned out. The paint is fantastic, and I got all new motor mounts, new pitman arm. Everything is torqued to factory spec, so I'm really happy how it turned out. Looks good, and it's all ready to go. And compared to the old one, yeah, it's a big difference. So yeah, and you know, I said that over here it bent when I dropped the subframe when it fell. Actually, it's when I hit it with my block of wood from above. I actually bent this stopper here. So yeah, you have to be careful where you hit. And I guess I wasn't really seeing. Well, actually, I didn't see anything from above because the view is all obstructed. So yeah, another mistake. But yeah, but my new subframe has all straight stoppers, thankfully. And yeah, and I also wonder what was wrong with mine over here. How the alignment got bent somehow, because I can't really see a big difference when I compare the new subframe to the old one. Not sure if you can, but hard to say. It really was misaligned, that's for sure. So anyway, it's all ready to go now, so let's go and install it. Okay, so I'm ready to roll the subframe under the car. I'm using a similar setup with my floor jack that I used for the oil pan, just a lower profile because there's not a lot of room to slide the subframe under the car. And look how biased towards the driver's side the weight is. It's impressive how heavy the steering box is. So you know, just to warn you, if you want to do this job, be ready to support the left side. It's much heavier than the right side, as you can see. And also, yeah, I just want to show quickly the clearance under the car. You can see that what kind of clearance we're dealing with here. So not a lot of room, but it should be okay. There's some cooling lines and things like that, but it should be okay to slide it under the front bumper and then in position. But before doing that, I want to do a bit of rust inhibiting on this surface area here, because it will be mating with the body of the car, and I don't want it to rust over time. So I got here a can of Crown rust protection, which is just a rust inhibitor, really popular in Canada. It's actually a Canadian product, and I'm going to use it on the upper surface here and on the other side as well. Okay, I want to protect the side here. I'm just going to use a bit of soapy water just to remove all the dirt and dust. Okay, so this pin is especially important because it's going to be in contact with the body all around, so I want to really protect it. Okay, here we go. Slow and steady, no rush. I just want to get it in its new home. Okay, hopefully this won't be another monumental fail in front of all the world. Okay, I think I'll move it just a bit more to the right. Okay, here we go. Yeah, you can see how heavy it is at the back. So I need to hold it like this. Okay, it's pretty much level now, almost. Okay. Okay. Need to pull it slightly towards me. Wow, this really is a balancing act. Huh. Okay, I'm very close here. Okay, so I got this pin engaged. I'll look on the other side now. Of course, I'll bring you along. And what is it looking like? Are we in? Not sure. No, I see the pin. Okay, is it aligned with the hole at least? Not at all. Okay, I need to shift it. So now that the driver's side pin is locked in place, I think I can shift it to forward and then align it with the hole in the body. Okay, I had to align it on the driver's side some more, and then I think, just shift it forward a bit here, because now the pin is located correctly on the driver's side. Okay, as you can see, I got the dowel aligned with the body on the passenger side as well, and yeah, so I should be okay to start threading the bolts. And by the way, I cleaned all this upper surface as well, so it's nice and clean, and there's only a bit of rust in the holes there. Okay, so the bolts are aligned correctly because they are aligned with the holes in the body, so that's great. Now I just need to raise it some more. So I got a bit of binding when raising the subframe, so I stopped what I was doing and I looked around and noticed that the motor mounts are not quite aligned with the supports. Okay, so now I know why my subframe is binding. If you look at my old subframe, you can see that the witness mark here for the engine mount is pretty significant and easy to spot. And it means that the stud on the engine mount was let me try to position it. Yeah, it was like this, and with the small key in the center. Well, on my new subframe, I installed them the other way around. So the stud in the center and the little key on the side. So I need to reverse it, and then my stud will be correctly positioned. So instead of being like this, it will be like this on the other side. Okay, so thankfully the engine mount just flipped easily and it now aligns perfectly with the engine support. So yeah, that's great. And now I just need to add the subframe bolts, make sure everything lines up. I already added a bolt here, as you can see, and the alignment is pretty good. So yeah. Okay, so the subframe is in, as you can see. It went in. You know, I had to use my hammers to persuade it a bit, but it went in. And the problem is well, not a problem, but the challenge is to align the dowels at the back here, like one on each side. And you have to get them perfectly aligned in the body of the car, and you want them to go in at the same time, and you want also the angle of the subframe to be parallel to the body of the car. Otherwise you will get binding at the dowels, and it will be difficult to insert the subframe and push it up. But yeah, it takes a bit of back and forth on the right and left side, but it's definitely doable in the garage at home. And I got the bolts just installed snugly at the moment. I'm using this little guy, which is a stubby impact. Very helpful. It's you know, I just got it today and I get to use it. It's very nice. I got this. Yeah, there's a mode here that you can use to tell it to stop at 10 foot-pounds, so that you can install the fasteners without over torquing them. So if I use it like this, see, it stops. Stopped, and it stopped. So now I'm ready to use a torque wrench to actually torque these bolts. So, you know, very useful. And yeah, I can continue now. I will torque the bolts and then install all the steering linkage. The spec for these subframe bolts is 57 foot-pounds of torque, so I'll be using that. Alright, that's all the right side done. And the left side done. Okay, now that the subframe is reinstalled, I can lower the engine. I made sure to torque the nut on the engine mount at the bottom of the subframe, but I did not install the nuts at the top, so I want to let the engine rest before doing that. So yeah, I think I'm good to go. Oh, it looks like it was already resting a bit on the subframe because I don't have any tension anymore. Well, that was easy. Install the weather stripping. So what's funny is that the engine support pushed the sticker with the VIN number, pushed it down. So I guess it was applying downward pressure on it. So that's kind of funny. I guess it means that the bar also shifted slightly. There you go. Ni vu ni connu, like we say in French, which means never seen and never noticed. Okay, things have been moving along pretty nicely since I removed the support bar. I torqued the upper engine mount nuts, and then I wanted to reconnect the hoses to the power steering, the steering box I mean, but I need to get new washers, so that will have to wait. Yeah, and then I wanted to reconnect the U-joint to the steering box, but it's proving to be quite challenging because when I push it, it just doesn't move. It doesn't want to slide. So I took a look under, and then I tried to force it, but that didn't work. Finally got the steering column to move, and the U-joint to move like this, to slide. And let me show you how to achieve that. Okay, so the key to move the steering column is actually this nut over here. And don't know if you recall, but one of my first videos, I think it was my first repair video, was to fix this nut, and it looks like the grease I put actually hardened exactly like the original grease from the factory. So anyway, so the splines over here will slide forward and backwards. So like this, the splines actually go inside this nut. So you have to make sure that this nut is not too tight, and that any grease that you put or that is there is not hard and does not hinder the movement. I had to use a pry bar to get the shaft here to move from down in the engine compartment. So yeah, that's the key for smooth and free movement, and it's the only way I think to reinstall the U-joint, because otherwise it's stuck and it doesn't move. Right, so I'm under the car, and as you can see, the U-joint is mated perfectly with the steering box. And yeah, it went all the way in, and I used the leverage, you know, the same way I took it out. I used the reverse leverage to push it this way, and it works. And I remembered that the slit over here was aligned with this notch, so I think my steering will be aligned properly, hopefully. And by the way, this rubber thing, this little boot, you need to push it from outside, inside the car. It's a bit finicky and fiddly. You have to work it, but in the end, it makes a nice seal with the firewall. And there's also this white retaining ring that will probably just slide out on this column here. So the way to push it in is to pry it open, because there's a slit in it at a 45-degree angle, and you you rotate one of the ends inside the boot slowly, and then you just turn it until it goes all the way inside the boot, and then it holds the boot in place. It makes a nice seal over here. And thanks to user RESQ, I think it's Rescue on YouTube, who showed he was first to show how to replace the U-joint by going under the interior and messing with the column over there. All right, so I got the steering linkage just held on jack stands, and it's ready to be reinstalled. I can't wait to see if the alignment will be better with the new subframe. Hopefully it will, because that was the whole point of the job. So yeah, let's install it. I will start with the pitman arm over here, and then slide in the idler arm on this side. So you have to start with this side, because this side of the center link has a ball joint which pivots, and the other side is just a fixed straight joint. Yeah, if you want to install it with ease, you start with this side, and then the center link will be able to to pivot up and down as you install the idler arm. I will wait to install the idler arm before torquing this nut. Okay, the idler arm now, it's already attached to the center link. I just need to move it in position and slide it in place. Let's see. The other one was quite difficult to slide in this little pocket area. I mean, with my old subframe. Don't know if this one will be any better. Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, that's a lot smoother than it was. Okay, nice. All right. Just need to push it. There you go. Okay, 32 foot-pounds of torque for this M10 bolt, according to the Bentley manual. I'm letting the wrench counterhold with the frame of the car, because it's not easy to hold it. So hopefully it works. Nice. The nut of the pitman arm requires 44 foot-pounds of torque, and I prefer to torque it from above. In the engine compartment, you have a straight shot if you look down, and use a bunch of extensions. I got about a foot and a half of extensions, so it's easy to torque, and I'm also jacking under the ball joint so it doesn't rotate. Okay, left tie rod on. 17mm nut, 28 foot-pounds of torque. I had to use my jack to prop it to apply enough pressure. I should be able to torque it now. Perfect. Right side tie rod end. There you go. Okay, so the steering linkage is all connected and torqued, and it looks to be perfect, because if I look at the subframe compared to the center tie rod, the center link, it looks parallel. So I don't see a discrepancy here, and it looks to be fine to me. So yeah, I'm really relieved with that finding, and I hope that it cures entirely the crooked steering. So I'm reinstalling the sway bar links, and just thought I would give a quick tip on how to torque them. So you're supposed to torque them at 43 foot-pounds, and it's pretty straightforward. You just need to put a 17mm wrench to hold basically the ball joint in place while you torque it. But the problem is that this nut is pretty recessed inside the hole there, and if you use a regular socket and wrench, sorry, a socket and ratchet, you don't have a lot of room to work with, and you're stuck. So here I have my torque wrench with a 17mm socket on it, and so if I try to position it like this, basically I can't because it's hitting the strut over here. So it's an issue. So what I did is I used some extensions. So basically I used a 3/8 to 1/4 inch extension, and then I used a 1/4 inch to 3/8 extension. So basically I'm just adding length, and then the socket. So this gives you a bit of an offset, and here it's a pretty slim profile here. It's smaller than this, the diameter of the socket here. So then if you try to use this, you can see that the torque wrench fits perfectly, and you have a straight shot to torque the nut, and you won't risk rounding the nut because you are fully engaged on it. So yeah, I just thought I would share that tip. It worked pretty well. I just torqued the nut, so I know it works. Yeah. Now I just need to reinstall my sway bar. I got new bushings here from BMW, and so basically you just reuse the brackets. I just clean them up a bit and reinstall it over here. I won't show it, it's very simple, and the bracket is held with these small nuts, and the torque is 16 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, so here is the sway bar links, and sway bar bushings all reinstalled and ready to go. Really simple installation, it doesn't take a lot of effort. I suggest that you start by installing the lower nut here at the bottom here, and then you can hang the sway bar just by these two attachment points, and let it drop there on the ground, and then you can just raise it and attach it there to the car. And I suggest using some silicone lubricant when reinstalling these brackets, because it doesn't go on very easily. It's very tight, so just use a bit of rubber-friendly silicone. I used this stuff over here, Clean Flow, Easy Slide. It's a synthetic grease made for brake parts. And don't you love that guy? Look at that guy. Look at that drop. I love this guy. They make a lot of products. It's a Canadian brand, and yeah, I just love this little drop guy. Yeah, so just use something that's suitable for rubber. So yeah, it's all reinstalled and torqued to spec. I just need to wait for the washers for the power steering hoses. The Napa did not have any, and I had to order them from the dealer. Kind of annoying, but it is what it is. So they will get here in a few days. Alright, so I reinstalled the power steering hoses with new crush washers and filled the reservoir, but before even starting the car, I want to get the alignment of the center link adjusted. So according to BMW spec, the height should be the same on the left side and the right side, or there is a 1.5 millimeter variance, like tolerance, that you can accept on the left and right side. So at the moment I measured 69 millimeters on the left side and 63, so it's pretty close, but I just need to adjust it a bit. So the way you measure it, well, BMW sell a tool for that you install on the in the hole over here. You remove the arm, install the measuring device here, and then it extends an arm and it points up at this. It measures, I think, the lower ball joint over here, and the same on the right side, and you can adjust it using that. I'll put the part number if you want to order it, or you can just do it really simply. You take something straight, you stick it under there, under the lower control arm bracket, and then you use a ruler or tape measure to measure the distance between that point and the ball joint on both sides. So that's what I did, and it, you know, since there's a bit of a tolerance with the measurement, you can use that and it should be okay. And the way you adjust it is on the left side, on the driver's side. So there's the nut over here for your pitman arm. You loosen, and you see the splines over here. So the pitman arm slides on the splines. That's why I used copper anti-seize, so I can slide it easily. And yeah, so let me try it. Yeah, I don't know if you can see the movement, but yeah, there's definitely movement, so you want to apply some pressure. So what I would want to do is get rid of the visible splines there and push it all the way down, and it should give me approximately the same measurement as the passenger side. And then you want to torque the nut. This is a locking nut, one-time use only, so yeah, I measure once and tighten after that, and then you should be good to go. Okay, so I adjusted the height of the pitman arm, and it's slightly above the very lower point. So I got a small gap here, and now I measured 63 millimeters on both sides, and it should be good to go. And the center link is now parallel with the subframe, and it looks good. So yeah, I'm glad that it fixes my crooked steering linkage, because yeah, it's a big relief. Now I will get even wear on the ball joint, on the pitman arm, sorry, the idler arm bushing, and all of these components. So yeah, it's within spec. And I used, I did not get a torque wrench in here, so I just applied quite a bit of force to get this nut clamped on the bolt, and yeah, it's not going anywhere. By the way, when measuring, you need to ensure that the alignment of the steering box is in neutral or centered. So the little notch there in the steering box has to be aligned with the line on the rubber bushing and also the U-joint. So I put away all my tools, which means that the job is done. I finally finished installing the subframe on my car. It was quite a long process, I have to say, but yeah, it's finally done. I torqued the lower control arms as much as I could, because I don't have ramps to go under the front wheels, so I have to get some ramps. But yeah, it's actually working quite well. I went for a drive, and the funny thing is that now the steering is crooked. So instead of the steering, being the center part being flat, it's actually crooked like this. So I have to get an alignment, because I did get an alignment with the damaged center link. So yeah, and here we'll just show you the engine compartment. I washed the car also, which was a big improvement. I still have to do the interior. It's pretty dirty, but yeah, so everything is reinstalled and everything works. The subframe is holding the engine correctly, and under the car the oil pan gasket is holding up very well, and there are no leaks at all. So yeah, hopefully I won't get any drips, but so far I placed a large cardboard box under it over like last night, and did not spot any oil there, so that's perfect. The engine mounts, the Corteco engine mounts, did not make any difference, because I still get vibration in the interior. There's like a quite a pronounced vibration, especially in idle. When the car drives, it's okay. So I'm thinking maybe a heat shield issue or something like that. Not sure. In terms of performance, the new steering link, all the new pitman arm, new idler arm, sway bar link, sway bar bushing, and all of that stuff really makes the steering tight and incredibly precise. I really like it, and compared to what it was before, I used to get some numbness in the steering, and I used to get like a popping sound when doing low speed turns, but now not anymore. Everything is nice and tight, and I really like it. Now I just need to fix the alignment, and I'll be good to go. So just a few random tips. Before removing the subframe, if you have a left-hand drive car, make sure that you are prepared to hold the subframe more on the left side than the right side. It's pretty lightweight on the right side, and on the left side, because of the steering box, it's very heavy. So you have to put your your floor jack, you know, around here instead of being actually in the center of the car. Using penetrating oil under these caps, there's one here, another one there I think, and one at the front for the 3 subframe bolts. Will help if you you know, use penetrating oil, but it might not make it, you know, in the threads, because only one bolt got some penetrating oil for me. All the rest were pretty rusty, and they did not benefit from it, so your mileage may vary. If you are removing the hoses to the steering box, make sure you have some new crush washers handy. They are not the same for this one and this one, so you need 2 for each bolt. And yeah, you need to order them in advance. I could not find them at Napa, so I got them from the dealership, and it took a week to get here. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Just make sure you have all the parts before you start the job. I suggest that you get 2 floor jacks, because if you want to hold the subframe and also, I don't know, like hold a bracket, like the bracket for the air conditioning, then you can you know, push up on the bracket and then still hold the subframe. So it gives you a bit more flexibility, which I liked for this job. It would have been handy. And lastly, it really helps if you have an impact gun to remove the bolts to the subframe, because they are quite rusty, and you might also have trouble with these bolts for the control arms and all of that stuff. So yeah, make sure you have some quite powerful equipment to remove these bolts. You can do it by hand, I guess, with a breaker bar, but it makes life much easier. One other thing, when replacing the gasket of the oil pan, use some glue on the actual oil pan surface so that the gasket sticks on the oil pan. That makes placing the oil pan and bolting it back much easier. It's really amazing how much it makes life easy just by holding the gasket with some glue, and also use some RTV on the timing cover, like on the seam at the front and at the back, just so you don't get any leaks. And as you can see, my oil pan is perfectly dry and no leaks. So yeah, it works. So that concludes my series on the subframe and the oil pan gasket replacement, as well as the center link, pitman arm, idler arm bushing, and all of that. Really satisfying job in the end. I'm glad that my center link is fixed, and that the angle of my steering components are all within spec because of the fixed subframe. So yeah, now the steering is really tight, at least, you know, as tight as the E32 steering box can be. It's never been known to be super tight, but it's much better in the case of my car, much better than it was. So yeah, stick around for my next videos. I think my next job will be to replace the front suspension. I got a bunch of parts ready to install. So on my shelf here, I got some nice ABAC, not sure how to pronounce it. You know this brand, they've been around forever. I'm going to replace the front springs of my car with these units. So these are from the Pro Kit series. Usually they're sold in a set of 4 springs, but I am keeping the rear self-leveling suspension, and I ordered some replacement springs using this number over here, just for the front. So really not expensive. I think it was like 250 Canadian dollars for these 2 springs, and they should give me a nice drop. I'm just looking for a visual drop so that the front is more uniform, you know, compared to the rear, and I want to keep the nice comfort ride and performance of the original suspension, and I'm not looking to make it sporty or harsh by any means. So that will be a nice upgrade. I also got some MISC parts over here. These are pads for the suspension, some washers, some bellows, stops, things like that. I think I got a badge somewhere in here. Yeah, new badges. So I got plenty of stuff to have fun with, and yeah, I'll be making new videos in the not too distant future.
So thanks again for watching. I hope it was entertaining. I hope you got some tips if you want to do the same kind of job on your car, and I hope you'll have success with that. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.